get on. We who are about to die, we salute you. I see your comment popped up. Um, so anyway, guys, it's the December 2020 live stream. As you can see, I'm in the new place. Still have not decided if I'm going to paint that mess back there because obviously I don't really like the way it looks for the background. But that's the way it was painted when I moved in, and not sure I want to spend my own money, um, you know, on a place that's not mine. But maybe I'll just do the background here and just paint that a solid color. But anyway, first of all, sorry I'm late to my own live stream. I originally scheduled this for 3 o'clock, and then, well, had a rough night last night. So, every fire alarm was going off in the building, so didn't get a whole lot of sleep. And because of that, I was a little slow moving today. I probably still could have got on at 3, but just to give myself enough time to get the whole setup, the camera and stuff set up, I thought it was good to give myself a little extra time. So, oh, okay, we got 3 now. So it looks like everybody's starting to pop on. So this will just be like a normal live stream, just to hang out. Hey, hey Rosie. This is just going to be like we normally do toward the end of every month. Just a time to hang out together. You feel free to ask me any questions. And then, like, as I think of topics, of course, things I need to let you guys know about, I will go ahead and, you know, just talk about those as well. But any questions you guys have, go ahead and post them, and I will start with that. The one thing that I want to tell you guys is that I am now full-time on YouTube. Now, that might not be permanent, or it might be, just depending on how it looks a few months down the road from now. But as of December 21st, I am now full-time. That got interrupted a little bit because of Christmas, but essentially now I've got my schedule where I'm working either 11 to 7 or 12 to 8 Eastern, depending on what time I actually wake up. But I'm going to be working one of those 2 shifts, and I'm going to do that Wednesday through Sunday, giving me Mondays and Tuesdays off as a weekend. So for the foreseeable future, I'll be doing that. Hey, Jennifer. Hey. Hey, that's actually interesting you're watching me from Sweden. Almost all of my viewers are from the US. Probably just because I talk about student loans a lot, and that, like, only is a US thing. Do you remember how you first discovered my channel? Like, what video it was? So anyway, guys, yeah. For the meantime and for the next few months, I am full-time on YouTube. And what do you think about Bitcoin? Well, so I'm not educated enough about any cryptocurrency to speak on it. I have a very loose understanding of how the entire thing works. I mean, I guess... Oh, yeah, hey, Merry Christmas to you, too. Your quitting my job video was the first video I saw. Okay, cool. So that was the one where... that was 5 years ago now. That was where I was working 70 hours a week, 7 days a week. And that's... You know, I've got another video like that coming, guys. Let me actually just get into that. So, as you guys know, like, I'm working full-time on YouTube now, and you guys are probably like, okay, well, we haven't seen anything more from you than we normally do. What are you talking about? I just got moved into my new place on the 18th, and just on the 21st, started working full-time. And then, of course, I took Christmas Day off. So it's only been for a few days, but I've made my list of things to start doing, and I have accomplished a few of them. And a few of them are back-end items, like a couple of business trips I took over, like over the summer. I'm catching up, getting all the taxes in order for that, making sure that we do like I get my mileage write-offs and stuff for my taxes, because the end of the year is so near. But There's some other things too. Essentially, I filmed a video that is why I left that job that I got in February of this year. Like, basically why I chose to leave a job in the middle of a pandemic when everybody was losing their jobs, and basically quit my full-time job to take a temporary job. So I'm explaining all of that, and I have a I have it was an hour video that I whittled down to about 39 minutes after editing. It's almost done. On Wednesday, I will have editing finished and I will upload that. So I see the questions are starting to come in, so let me go ahead and start answering those before I get too sidetracked here. We who are about to die salute you. Yeah, actually, I apologize for not responding to your comment on like the last video. I just want to clarify that I do have Patreon now, and you guys can support me for as little as $1 a month. I do so far already have one person who's pledging at the $1 a month. Hey, that's actually a good name for the subscribers for the channel. I don't have a term for that, so yeah, maybe we'll use that. But yeah, maybe we'll have to come up with like a gang sign or something. But anyway, yeah, I wanted to clarify about the live streams. I'm always going to do this end of the month kind of hangout live stream thing, and that's going to be for everyone. And that is just going to be for everyone, and then it'll be uploaded after YouTube processes it for people to watch later if they didn't catch the actual live event. When I said that I was going to do a live stream for Patreon, that's an additional one. And that's one that won't be put on YouTube, and that'll only be for patrons. And those are for people who are at the $10 or higher level for Patreon. So there's a 1, 5, 10, 25, and 50 level, I believe. And as you go up, you get more benefits from it. At the $1 level, hey, I still appreciate that. That helps me a lot. But that all that does is I just follow you back on social media, on Instagram and Twitter. So that's a real simple one. But if you want to get that extra live stream per month, that's $10 per month. And the cool thing about it is, like, because no one is at that subscriber level right now, like if somebody does that, it would basically just be a one-on-one live stream with me and you right now. So with that said, I just wanted to clarify that there are actually two, and this one will always be free. Now, I don't know asked, are you expecting Biden to erase all student debt? No, I'm not. And I mean, I really hope he does, but I don't, and it's for a couple of reasons. One is, I don't think that he's like, while he has mentioned it, he's not real passionate about it, right? Like, he has his priorities for the first 100 days, and that's not included in it. Now, maybe it will make some difference because some other politicians are trying to pressure him into doing it, and using like the coronavirus and the economy as a justification for it. And, you know, maybe that will work. Maybe that'll help. But I don't think he will, for the sheer fact that Biden was the one who made student loans the way they are now. So if you guys remember, I took out my first student loan in 2004, but that was a very small federal loan, and it was like $1,300, and I paid that off like very quickly. But in 2005, Biden was actually the person behind the legislation that made it where you could not discharge student loans in bankruptcy. And he campaigned on it or not campaigned on it for president, but like he gained support for that legislation by basically saying that all of these people that were getting student loans were just out to scam the government and out to scam these, poor corporations who were losing money on private loans. And just the rhetoric that he used for it was very, very, anti-consumer and pro-corporation. And sure, it's been 15 years. Maybe his opinion has changed, but it just doesn't seem to me that the one singular man who is responsible for the student loan situation is going to be the same person who does a complete 180 and forgives them. So I'm still hopeful, but I don't actually think that that will happen. Oh, wow, guys. Okay, awesome. You guys are throwing out comments here. This is great. So Jennifer asks, okay, so Jaeger bombs, I totally agree with you. You guys let me know what you think of the name of Goudy Gang, if you guys want to do that as just the name for all the subscribers and supporters of the channel. In the back of my mind, I knew that we'd eventually have to come up with a name, but I just never thought of one. So let me know what you think of that. Jennifer says, can you already make a living from YouTube, or do you have a side hustle? And to be honest with you, I make very little money from YouTube. When I say that I'm doing this full time, I'm able to do that because of a few different particular circumstances. I made a lot of money this summer, like at that job. You got to understand, like, I wasn't driving my car. We were put up in hotels. So even though I still had my apartment and had to pay rent, my utilities were very low because they were basically turned off. And I made a lot of more money than I technically needed. So I did pay off a lot of debt, but at the same time, I saved a lot of it too. So I do have about $13,000 in savings, which is about $10,000 more than I've ever had in savings. And on top of that, I've actually gotten, I'm getting unemployment now because I'm technically furloughed. Now, I did get news that the job itself was extended to March, so there is a good possibility they will call me back, and I'll be redeployed for another 3 weeks at least, and I'll be able to make some more money. But even if that doesn't happen, I am on unemployment, and I've lowered my expenses to such a great extent that I'm basically just able to live off that weekly unemployment amount. So that said, if the channel is not something I can live on at the end of that, I do have 2 and possibly 3 different pending job offers here where none of the jobs are ideal, but they are like decent paying jobs, and they would be something that is always hiring, so I can just pretty much start whenever I want. The goal would be to not do that. The goal would be to put all my time into making this workable and profitable. So it's reduced expenses, getting unemployment, and having saved a ton of money that I can tap into if I need to. Those are the things that are letting me do YouTube full time right now. I actually make less than $100 a month on YouTube in an usual month, and that's just AdSense revenue. Now, of course, there are other ways that I can make revenue as well. Like I have referral links to Webull and Robinhood, and when one of you guys clicks on that and signs up, I get free stock. So that doesn't help me like income wise, but it helps me like net worth wise. I'm also working with several other brands. SoFi is one of them, student loan refinance, and for each person that signs up through that, I get, I think it's $300 if they end up refinancing. That pays my rent for an entire month. So it's that combination of doing this and lowering my expenses that'll make this possible. Also, a few of you guys have used Root, the insurance. I get $35 every time you guys complete a test drive with that. That link should be down below in the description if you want to do that. You don't have to actually buy it, you just do the test drive. But that kind of thing, And eventually I'll get back into Amazon affiliates. Eventually I'll even have merchandise, and there's a lot of different projects that I'm working on that's going to try to make this profitable. But I think immediately the most profitable thing is just going to be financial coaching. And I know I don't talk about that a lot. So I don't know if you guys even know I do that. By the way, not sponsored by McDonald's, but I stopped drinking pop. So once a day I get a sweet tea now, just so I have a little bit of caffeine. But yeah, I do financial coaching as well. Currently, email coaching is $25. You send me an email, I respond to it. That's $25. Or if you want to do a 45-minute to 1 hour session that can be like Zoom or Skype, then that is $50. Now, if you do want to get those and some other benefits for the same price, you can go to the $25 or $50 tier on Patreon and get that. But really just using the knowledge that I built. Okay, I think we're back. As always, we're having connection issues. It seems like whether I use Wi-Fi or cellular data, it always does the same thing. But anyway, so let's see. Okay. So it looks like, I got a little sidetracked, and okay. You were asking, can you already make a living from YouTube, or do you have a side hustle? Currently, I do not have a side hustle, although I want to focus my time on YouTube, but there are a couple of things I'm going to do to supplement my income. One of them is I don't know if you guys have heard of user testing, and you don't make a ton of money from it, maybe $50 a month, but that's something that I'm going to look into here soon too. I actually had done the interview for it, and they apparently lost it. I don't know. I had to email them, and they're like, we don't know what you're talking about, so I guess I'm going to have to do that again. So that's something that I'm going to look into as well. Let's see. So okay, dividend investing, people, it will change your life. Yeah, and I definitely see where you're coming from with that. I've looked into that. It's just not something that I have the money to put into right now. But yeah, once you're able to do that and you start having that passive income coming in monthly or quarterly or however it's paid out, like, yeah, that's definitely going to be sort of a security blanket, I guess. That is something that down the road that I want to look more into getting into. So Greg says 2020 has been a good year for me as far as erasing debt. How do you stand now as compared to where you were in January 2020? Well, at the end of the year, and I guess it'll actually be uploaded sometime in January, I'm going to have a couple of different videos that are going to cover that topic. But just to kind of give you an overview right now, at the beginning of January 2020, I had probably about $1,000 in savings, and I have about $13,000 right now. I had a credit card that was maybe $800 or so, and that one's completely sold, or it completely paid off. I don't know, I think it was maybe $3,500 on my other credit card, and that one's down to like $2,100 or so. Credit score's gone up quite a bit through the year, and I paid off my car completely. So that was at like a 10 or 11,000, and I've completely paid that off. So that's a big deal too, is just being able to get that completely paid off and do away with that $290 a month payment, because that was killing me. I would have to put more thought into that, and like I said, there's going to be a couple different videos. I'm going to do a 2020 year in review, just about my life, like what all happened this year. I'll do a 2020 financial year in review, and then I'll do the regular end of the month like budget review just for December, but of course it's the end of the year, so it'll have some like end of year details in it as well. And it looks like I have a little bit of a delay on my end, so if we do happen to disconnect, just know I'll reconnect it. I always just have connection issues on these. Oh, and we who are about to die salute you. The first video I saw was Navient student loans. Jaegerbomb says, can you talk about whether or not you save for retirement? If not, why not? Interest rates too high on debt compared to investment returns. Okay, yeah. Currently, I am not saving for retirement, but essentially the reason is I have so many monthly payments, and my focus right now is not really even to pay off debt. It's to eliminate those monthly payments, to make life easier, to make it easier to make enough money that I can, be more comfortable in just making the monthly minimums by eliminating some of the minimum payments. And to do that, of course, I have to eliminate those debts. So that's how I'm thinking of it. Retirement. Last year when I had that full-time job, and I guess I was there up until the beginning of this year, there was a 401k that you could pay into, but there was no match. So for me, it didn't make sense to do that. I do have several old IRAs, and the value of those, of course, continues to go up. But I haven't done any other investing for retirement, except I did put about $600 away this year in my IRA, but that was because, a long story, I was out an old employer 401k, and I missed the deadline to roll that over, so it was paid out, and of course taxed and everything. So basically what the amount that was in that account I wanted to pay back to myself, and with the extra money that I made this year, I was able to put that back in there. So in my mind, it's not a new savings for retirement, because I'm not doing that right now. It's just paying myself back from before. Now, I think that when I get enough money coming in from YouTube to live on every month, and then on top of that, be able to put back a percentage each month for savings to pay my quarterly taxes. Once that's accomplished, then I will start maybe putting some money away for retirement as well. And let's see. Oh, and to finish answer your question, yeah, the interest rate on the debt, obviously, compared to what you would get for investment returns, it does make more sense to pay off the debt first. Once I get dividends in order, I will be contributing to your Patreon. Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, guys, the Patreon, it's just patreon.com/MarkGoudy. I don't have anything extra or fancy on there. It's just 5 tiers right now. But sponsoring anywhere from like it's $1, $5, $10, $25, and $50 a month. Anything above the $10 per month amount, you get that extra live stream. And with the upper tiers, the 25 and 50, you get financial coaching with me, which can be anything from like making a budget, helping you fight off bill collectors on your student debt, or whatever you need help with. I would just have you send me over the issue first, and I would let you know if I can help with that. Okay, we're back. For some reason, I keep getting the comments on the screen, but the video disappears. Okay, so you should set it at $4.61 a month, going by the minimum wage adjusted since 1938. 25 cents per hour. All right, sorry guys, it disconnected again. So 1938, 25 cents an hour was the minimum wage, and I'm assuming that adjusted for inflation, it's 461 an hour now. Huh. That, so, but 461, well, I mean, I guess that doesn't account for the price increase and everything, because I know when minimum wage was established, it was supposed to be not just a bare subsistence level, but like a good wage. So, okay, I guess that was the factor I was missing. Oh, Abby says, what is this for? And you were laggy. Abby, I'm not sure if you are new to the channel. So I just have a channel about my life, and because I'm focusing on getting my financial life in order, we focus a lot on finances and financial talk right now. And yeah, I definitely am laggy. I apologize for that. I don't know what is going on with the connection, but I've live streamed in Ohio and West Virginia on my phone, on my computer, using YouTube directly, using OBS. No matter what I do, it just does that. I don't know why. So I don't know if there's any fixing it. And I've tried using cell service and Wi-Fi, and it just doesn't seem like anything I do makes any difference. It just does that. Okay, so We Who Are About to Die Salute You says, come join us in our mourning. Don't know what you mean by that. So you're saying mourning as in like death and that sort of mourning. Dude, I'm a bear says, I want to get a hot dog cart and start selling hot dogs. Do you think this is a good business plan? It definitely can be, depending on like where you're located. I will say that it would be a little iffy right now, and then seeing how the future goes just because of COVID. I think with the restrictions for like restaurants and stuff like that, they may not even allow something like that right now. You can maybe look into like whether food trucks are operating or allowed to operate. One thing that I would tell you is a good place to target would be, depending on where you're located, of course, somewhere where there's a lot of like office type employees, and there's not a lot of places to go as far as like where they could eat like quickly, because a lot of them, I'm guessing, probably only have like a half-hour lunch, and so you might be able to sell to them just because you're convenient. Okay, support better businesses. Check out McDonald's for Chick-fil-A. Oh, chuck out McDonald's for Chick-fil-A. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. So we do have Chick-fil-A here. It's just a lot farther away. So that's just something that like, and actually I drive to Ohio to get my tea because it's 7 cents cheaper. Because in Ohio they don't tax, yeah, they don't tax caffeine like they do in West Virginia. So, okay, Jennifer asks, what is your opinion on Dave Ramsey and his baby steps? So I promised you guys that I am eventually making a video about this, and the reason being is ever since I started talking more about finances on my channel, most people who come to my channel are following Dave Ramsey, and they just can't understand why I'm not. And so I'm literally just going to make a video basically saying like, this is initially why I didn't follow Dave Ramsey, and then I'm going to go through each of the baby steps and be like, this is why this doesn't apply to me. So I know who Dave Ramsey is. I know what the baby steps are, but I really just don't follow him because, well, for one thing, I was already doing most of this before I ever heard of him or knew he existed. I already had. I was even doing something similar to the debt snowball that I'd created myself. I just feel like that stuff is common sense. So his baby steps, I feel like don't apply to me for the most part, because just the way that I'm planning my life, a lot of the stuff that he wants you to plan for is just not stuff that I'm going to be doing. So I just sort of already had my own plan for about 5, 6, 7 years before I knew about him. So I just sort of do my own thing. I don't want to give too much away. I want to put it all in that video when I make it. But the thing about it is, I haven't got this for a long time, to be fair. But when I first started this channel, and for the first like couple years, people left the most hateful comments, and it was all about Dave Ramsey. It was Dave Ramsey's supporters finding my channel and me being like one of the only financial channels out there that doesn't follow him. And it was all them just telling me I was a terrible person and I was doing everything wrong. And I'm just like, you know what? You can do it Dave Ramsey's way, but like, that's not the only way to do it. And it's not even necessarily the best way to do it. Now, that has calmed down. I still get the occasional nasty comment, but it doesn't seem to be sent from Dave Ramsey's, group over there. So I don't know why that's changed, but I'm happy it has. I didn't like dealing with the negativity. But that's another criticism I have of Dave Ramsey, is I do think that his crew is pretty negative. So I don't know. Again, I don't want to give away all of it, because I do want to make a video specific to that, and it's just going to be called something like "Why I Don't Follow Dave Ramsey," and clear it up for everybody. But also, I think it'll be helpful. It's not going to be mean and criticizing him and tearing him down. It's just going to be like specifically like, well, this is why I don't do this, and I would encourage the rest of you to put a little more thought and effort into how you decide to handle your finances as well. So sorry, Jennifer, if you're a huge Dave Ramsey person. I'm sorry if I offended you. Jaegerbomb says, "Can you describe your philosophy on life? How do you think you see the world differently than most other people?" Okay, so for me, that's like two different questions. Right now, I don't have a philosophy on life. The last few years have been really hard on me. I've had a lot of traumatic things happen, a lot of things that I'm still dealing with. Just some, yeah, it's really thrown me off course. But I can remember back around the end of college or so, I do remember that I remember saying that my philosophy on life is to live it. And basically, just to seek out and take every opportunity that presents itself to me to try something new and have fun. And I would say at my core, that's still true. Now, there's a lot of, hurt and damage that like encompasses that right now, but I'm working on that, and I'm working on shedding that and getting back to myself. So, whether it's an opportunity for an impromptu road trip or just to go out and spend time with someone and have fun. I'll say the only time I didn't do that this year is when I was in Oklahoma, and it was like my first day there at that site, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to go skydiving this weekend?" And I'm like, I really wanted to say yeah, but I'm like, no, I don't. I'm not afraid of heights, but I don't like falling. And I want to skydive eventually, but like, I want to work myself up to that. Mentally, I want to prepare myself, and then maybe I want to do indoor skydiving first, just to, ease myself into it. So that was not something that I did. But that's pretty much my philosophy, I'd say. So let me see here. Oh, guys, thank you everybody for continuing to comment, and I apologize if you're getting like weird vibrations or something. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, but for some reason the notifications are still coming in, and like covering half my screen. So, Dude, I'm embarrassed as Amazon slaves. Perfect. Hey, you might not know this, but I was an Amazon slave. I worked at Whole Foods. Which, by the way, guys, sometime in 2021, probably the first half, I will have my video about working at Whole Foods. I know you guys like the one about Target, and it's essentially the same style. It's like, what it's like to work at Whole Foods and why I quit. And it's, I mean, honestly, it's pretty bland, but at the end, it's just like, okay, well, this one thing happened, and that's why I left, and kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. We Who Are About to Die said, the internet on my end is cutting out. Seems like the spectrum has monopolized all of us. So, I was using Spectrum in all of the live streams before this, and we've had all these connection issues. That was who I had at home. I now have CAS because my current place, my landlord just provides Wi-Fi, and I'm connected to it. So they have CAS, which is a local company to West Virginia, but it does seem, even though we've had some connection issues, I'm definitely having fewer today than we've had with Spectrum in the past. Jennifer says, I think Dave is interesting, but I do not agree with his ways, and I have an issue with the religious stuff. Yeah, I have an issue with the religious stuff too, but probably more a different way maybe than you do. I just think that it's sort of, I don't know if I want to say dishonest, but it's kind of shady in a way that he affiliates himself with churches and religion, and like whenever I see somebody hosting a Dave Ramsey or Financial Peace University sort of clinic or class or something, it's always a church person through a church group. It really seems like he kind of preys on religious people to network through that. I'm not even sure if he's religious himself. I don't know enough about him personally, but it definitely does seem like that is a theme of it. And look, it's fine if you want to have a like religious financial experience, but if you're the biggest person, the biggest name in personal finance, to also have that slant at it, I find questionable, because it's like, well, you're the main guy. Who are people going to go to if they want a non-religious experience? And you said, what are the interest rates for student loans in the States? In Sweden, it is 0.05%. So, I actually did not even realize that Sweden had student loans. I thought that was mostly a US thing, but it's much higher here. It is, so you're saying 0.05%, so less than even a percent. This is a big problem in America because I have both private and, I'm actually going to look up the numbers for you. I have both private and federal, which is like the government student loans. And my interest rates are much, much higher. For my federal loans, there's one that's on its own, and the rest of these are like grouped into one solid thing. One is, this is not point, this is an actual number, 5.6%, and the other one is 6.8%. Those are considered good low rates on student loans in America. And of course, it's like a low, I don't know, I forget where I was going with that, but basically, these are considered low rates here in America. Now, interestingly, my private loans, which everybody thinks are outrageously expensive, the interest rates on those are lower. One is 2.75%, and the other one is 4.75%. So much, much higher. Oh, and I remembered the thing I was going to say. Basically, there's the difference between simple interest and compound interest. I would suspect that maybe in Sweden they use simple interest, which also makes it a little bit slower for the interest to compound. But in the US, they use daily compounded interest. So you end up owing more and more and more. And that's why you see all of these people that is like, because, people are like, well, you took out the money. Why don't you just pay back the money? And it's like, okay, well, I took out a $30,000 loan and I've paid $60,000 and I still owe $20,000. I'm making up those numbers right now, but that's the problem in America. People are so unsympathetic to people who have student loans, and they're like, well, you took out the money, just pay it back. And it's like, I've paid it back more than twice over and I still owe it. Okay, so Rosie says, attracted me to your site is that I see a smart, articulate individual, and you are well on your way to building your own empire on your own terms. Well, thank you. That actually means a lot to me. I feel like I'm street smart. Just I've had to be scrappy to, come from where I come from to even get what I have now. And yeah, I'm a little bittersweet. Like, I am building my own business, and yeah, it's going to be nice to have a flexible work schedule and be able to work from anywhere and kind of like make the content that I want to. But it is bittersweet because I do also kind of wish, actually more than kind of wish, that I could have just come out of college, got a job at a company, worked my way up the corporate ladder, and felt accomplished like that. But unfortunately, places just won't give me the opportunity to do that. And in the couple opportunities I've had, well, candid, I got laid off after a year, even though I was promoted twice. And then Abercrombie, I was promoted once, or, well, no, twice there too. But I'm still not even sure what happened there. I have a video about that if you guys want to see that whole story. J. Ford Interlude says, when do you project you will be debt-free? So, again, this is another one of those things that, like, down the line I want to make a video about. Because somebody asked this in a comment on a video a long time ago, and ever since then I've been thinking about it. There are so many factors that go into when I'd be debt-free that I really just can't answer that question. Now, I do want to clarify that a lot of people come on here on my channel and be like, you are never going to get out of debt. And I'm like, that's just not true at all. Like, if you even just like look at the numbers exactly as they are right now, it's not remotely true that I'll never get out of debt. Now, I believe that, and this gets a little complicated, because if nothing, no aspect of anything changes, I'm making the same minimum payments, no interest rate changes, like, I'm just, nothing changes at all, I'll be able to pay, I want to say, like, man, let me bring this back up because I can't remember now. Okay, so my credit card is on schedule to be paid off in October 2025. Obviously, I'll get that paid off earlier. And then as far as student loans, it's saying January 2040, December 2040, November 2041, and September 2045. So that'd be in 25 years. And I'll be, how old will I be in 25 years? 60? Oh, I don't want to think about that. But okay, but here's the thing. Here's why this is different. What if student loan, like, what if they are forgiven? Obviously, it's going to make that period a lot shorter. What if I get an inheritance from my parents? Obviously, that's going to make it much shorter. What if YouTube takes off and I make more money than I ever would at a normal job? I'm still going to live fairly cheaply. I'm just going to have extra money, and that means I'm going to make extra payments. What if I don't know, like, okay, I don't know if you guys have heard of Giveling. It's a trivia app that pays off your student loans. Eventually, I'm going to get $50,000 from them. I'm pretty high up in the rankings now. If any of you are interested in joining Giveling, you know, I will try to send you guys the link to sign up for that. I just can't do it right now. I'd have to do it after this is uploaded. But yeah, like as long as you stick with it, and it'll take years, but once you get to the top of the queue, you get 50,000 that you can put toward a student loan. Now, one big thing though is in this calculation of when this is supposed to be paid off, it is not considering that after 25 years, the federal loans are forgiven anyhow. So you just make the payments that you're assigned on your income-based plan for 25 years. And I'm currently 8 going into 9 years into the 25 years. So 25 years after I graduated, which is 2012, trying to do math in my head, 2037, I think. So that's 17 years from now. Is that right? Some of that doesn't sound right. But anyway, let's assume that that's right for right now. Let's say that 2040 or 2045 is where it was saying, and 2040 is when I was going to be paying off my my federal loans. But those loans are going to be gone in 2037. So that's currently $36,000 on one and $2,700 on another, and those amounts are going to be gone. So that's a big chunk of that I'm never going to have to pay, that is included right now in my net worth calculation. So I'm keeping it on there because I do owe it, and I am making minimum payments toward it, but I'm not going to have to, like, eventually, like, I'm not going to have to pay that. I'm just going to keep making the minimums on it. And like I said, in the meantime, if it gets forgiven, awesome. But it will be forgiven eventually anyhow. So, let's see, what other comments here? The first tier on Patreon should be like 25 cents. And then $4.61, and then it is some multiplier of $4.61. I mean, I get your point. I'm not sure if I can set it lower than $1. I think it has to be a whole dollar amount. I mean, maybe if it was 25 cents a month, maybe I would get more people sign up for it. Oh, and then Christian says Dave is a Christian. Okay. So, I mean, I you know, people can be a Christian. That's fine. I think the distinction there is if somebody, I think that if somebody said, like, you can be a Christian, but if you're going to make your entire business about being a Christian, I feel like that's something different. I feel like that there's a little bit of negativity in that. Oh, Dude on my bear says, when I got my loan, it was 5%. And in the contract they put, if I didn't graduate, it goes up to 18%. Wow. I've never heard of that. That is terrible. I've never actually heard of one that's like based on graduation. Maybe mine was like that too. I don't know. But I did graduate, so I didn't find out. And then J Ford Interlude says, my rates with Great Lakes was about 6%. Yep. I don't know if you heard. I heard this a few months ago that Great Lakes, any federal loans that are held by Great Lakes are supposed to be transferred to another lender. I heard that and then never heard any more about it. And now with, you know, the election and then a new person in charge of the Department of Education, I don't know if that's actually going to happen. And Jennifer says, wait, what? Now I understand why student loans are so controversial in the States. 5% compound interest is crazy. Yeah, and like I said, mine are considered low. Those are very low interest rates. And it's because when I took mine out, it was about like 2005, 2006. I think one of them was 2007. Um, the ones now are much higher. We're talking like 10+% interest on a federal loan. And the federal loans are supposed to be like the less dangerous ones. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is, and you're saying why they're so controversial, I think the biggest thing is what I stated before. Because of this type of interest rate, it's like, so my car loan, for example, was 15.35%. That's a super high interest rate. That's ridiculous. But a car loan's simple interest. So my 5% or so student loan seems like it's impossible to pay down. Whereas I was making pretty good progress every month just making the minimum payment on my simple one. So I think that's the problem, is that you can pay back double or triple what you took out, and people, they're so critical of you. It's like, well, you took it out, you pay it back. And it's like, dude, I paid it back several times. Okay, so we who are about to die. Let's see, what did you say? My internet is killing me too. We need someone to out compete Spectrum and put them on the bottom. Yeah. Now, I mean, I don't know where you're located. There's a company that used to be based out here at Parkersburg, the city I'm in, called Suddenlink, and they moved their offices. I think they moved them to Texas, but they were really good. They were fairly cheap, and my girlfriend's mom worked for them. So, in their house, they had like every service imaginable because I think they got them free or cheap. They were a really good service, and they were so good, in fact, that Parkersburg, West Virginia, in the middle of nowhere, got 1 gig internet like 10 years ago. Columbus, Ohio, where I just moved from, still does not have that, and it's a big city. Whoa. Okay, guys. Looks like. Not sure if we're lagging, frozen, what's happening. Okay, Robert, what if your degree has never been helpful to you? Should you really need to pay back your loan? I mean, I feel like there is an argument there. I mean, I feel like if you could argue and prove in court that you were guaranteed placement, or like misled that you would have placement in a career in that field or something, and some schools do that, then maybe you would have an argument to have those dismissed. But for most of us, no, I don't think that would happen. I still think that kind of goes back to like, well, you took out the amount, you should pay it back, which is what I'm trying to do. I tell young people that a student loan is the most worthless loan a person can get. No assets, no car, just debt. Yeah, that makes sense, because generally when you take out a loan, you're either buying a house or buying a car or something that maybe isn't necessarily an asset but kind of balances out. It's like, okay, you have $10,000 in car value and $10,000 in loan value, and kind of balances itself out. So I see what you're saying there. I think the concept of the student loan is that you're going to have the education, but then again, the education is kind of, it's an asset, but it's not an asset at the same time, because it's an asset you can have, but it only depends on how the person who is receiving that, like receiving you in an interview or something, like how that's going to be interpreted by them. Yeah, everybody sees a car and they're like, oh, that's worth something. but they'll be like, oh, you're smart or you're educated. Some people are like, I don't care. I can tell you my manager, the owner of Jimmy John's, told me that my bachelor's degree won't get in the way of making sandwiches. So, it's up to interpretation by people. Um, let's see. What about the interest on mortgages in USA? House loans, here it is 1 to 2%. Um, so I'm not totally sure what the mortgage rate is right now. I just helped my mom here a couple years ago sell her house. And of course, with the money, we paid off the mortgage and the home equity loan that she had. So I don't know what the interest rate was, but it was pretty low. I think mortgages in the US are much lower than student loans traditionally. And I think that interest rates have been cut here so much. In fact, they were just cut again like a month or two ago, that interest rates on at least car loans and probably mortgages as well is like pretty much nothing. So maybe even lower than the 1 to 2% that you're talking about. I know my girlfriend got a car loan this year, and she does have like amazing credit, but her car loan was like 3% or something. Have you considered an income-sensitive repayment plan? That's from Robert. And yeah, I have. So I am not 100% up on all of the different income-based plans, but I am on an income-based plan. Mine kind of tends to change every year. When I send them my new documentation, because you have to send in documentation every year of your income, it'll suggest a new one. It'll be like, either you can stay on the same plan and this is what your payment will be, or you can switch to this other plan and this might be a lower payment for you. So I am on an income-based plan, but of course I haven't had to make a payment since March, I think, or maybe April, because of the pandemic. January is covered, and I have to renew my what do you call it? I have to send in my income verification and let them know that I'm just on unemployment right now, which will probably mean my payment will be 0 again, but that'll be starting in February. And let me see here. Okay, excuse me, guys. Somebody's at my door. Let me find out what that is. I will be right back. Ooh. Okay, guys. Sorry about that. As my landlord, like I said, the fire alarm was going off in the building last night, so he was just telling me what was up with that. Let's see. So Jägerbombs asks, if you could give advice to your younger self, say MarkGoudy circa 2010, what would it be? Well, with it being 2010 specifically, that makes that a little difficult to answer, because the current trajectory I'm on of being financially independent and paying off all my debt, getting financially secure, living a life where I'm like free, all those ideas I came up with in spring semester of 2010 when I was still in college. So it's now 10 and a half years in, and I'm still on the same plan. I'm really proud of myself that I came up with the ideas that I did then and started working toward them then. But it's really just been, well, it's been money, and it's been struggling to obtain and keep steady employment. Um, that has really kept me from being able to make a lot of progress in, uh, in those 10 years. You got to see the first 2 years I was still in college, so I couldn't do much then. And then I've had a lot of bad years after college, which you guys have seen a lot of that. So it's really only been within the last year or two that I've made a lot of progress toward that. Um, so I guess my advice would just be, and I would have already done it anyway, but when I decided that I wanted to take this path, I would just come back and be like, yeah, man, you're making the right decision. Don't question it. Like, I'd just say something like, things are going to be terrible. Like, your life is going to be horrible for years. But at the end of it, things do work out. And just basically say something along the lines of, like, you know, I don't know. I just, I don't know other than that. Because it is sort of working out the way that I planned. It's just taking a very long time. Um, Jay Ford says, I don't know. I paid them off in January 2020. I haven't heard anything about a transfer to another loan provider. Oh, okay. That was talking about Great Lakes. Okay. So Christian had a message that they deleted. Don't ever factor in loan forgiveness. Dems just use it to get votes and won't come through. I mean, yeah, I can definitely see that. Although, when I was talking about the 25 years and that being forgiven, that is already law. So, yeah, I see what you mean about, like, it being forgiven, like, soon. And like I said earlier in this, I don't expect Biden to do that, since he is the guy who made it impossible to discharge student loans in bankruptcy. I don't know why he would be the guy to do the complete opposite. Um, Dude, I'm a bear says loan was 15,000, now it's up to 60,000. Yeah, that's how that goes, and that's why. Look, you guys see, I pay off my car, I pay off my credit cards and stuff. But I just don't have any sympathy at all to the way the student loan system is set up, because it's just so blatantly predatory, uh, that, like, when somebody criticizes me criticizing that system, I'm like, I cannot take you seriously. Like, you're seeing these numbers right in front of you, and you're just trying to find a way to blame people who've been taken advantage of. The thing with Dave Ramsey's plan is that it only works if you have a secure job. That is mostly true. Yeah, I mean, he definitely is assuming in his plan that you have a secure job. I think you could do it if you had irregular income, but of course it would be more difficult. You are supposed to be in debt, yet you complete to these steps fluidly. I don't totally know what that means, but I think, um, I'm not sure, but I will tell you the second baby step is just way too big. Paying off debt, because you save $1,000, which I disagree with. It should be way more than that, but save $1,000 and then you start paying off debt with the snowball method. It's like, okay, but, like, that doesn't take into account how much debt you have. What if somebody has $100,000 or $200,000 in debt? It takes their entire life to pay it off, and because they followed your system, they have literally no money saved for retirement. Like, it's not a one size fits all solution. And I don't know if you guys have ever watched his show, but if you dare question him, he's like, no, this is the way that it is. And it's like, it's not, dude. It's not. People have different situations. Like, your system is inflexible, and it's just not the best system for everyone. So, Max says, thoughts on WWE. Um, can I just ask you for clarification. WWE, are you talking about wrestling? If it's that, I haven't really been, haven't really watched it. Um, I know, like, when I lived in Columbus and the Arnold is there every summer, the Arnold Classic, like, I have met some people, I believe, that were in that, but I don't really know much about it other than that. Christian says, pick a degree that will pay off. Do the research. Well, that would be nice in theory. But that doesn't always work. If you look at my story, so I went off to college for music education originally. And it's because I was already working as a music teacher, and eventually my school district was like, hey, you're going to have to actually get a degree to do this. So they sent me off to college. And then, if you go off to college for education, you at least are training for a career, right? But then, it is a long story, but I had to change my major. And there were only maybe one other program at my school, and it was a really exclusive program that actually trained you for a career. I ended up, I was still entrepreneurially minded at that time, and that's why I transferred to psychology, because I saw the value in understanding myself and others, and saw that I could apply that to everything. So I did, and to be fair, psychology, at least at my school, did actually train you for a career. It's just I couldn't afford to do the whole thing. My entire program never talked about jobs after college. You were supposed to go to grad school, and that's all they prepared you for. And had I gone to grad school, I could have got my master's and I could be a counselor. And they're not rich by any means, but they make decent money. And I probably would have been fine doing that. The problem was, what I did not understand until about the time I graduated was that I was limited to 5 years of in-school deferment on my loans. We had always just been told, as long as you were half-time enrollment, that would stay indefinitely in deferment. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't find anywhere in my student loan paperwork that it gives a 5-year limit, but all of my student loan companies seemed to be in agreement that I had to start paying because I was graduating, and that meant I couldn't go to grad school, and therefore I couldn't go to train to be and to train to be a counselor. So that was an issue. But I do see the value in just going to college as a finishing school. I don't want to say necessarily that, like, you're saying a degree that'll pay off, and I'm assuming, like, in the sense that, like, you'll get a good job with it. Obviously, that's the most immediate way to get value out of it. But I was super immature and naive going into college. And college was, like, an experience for me that not only did I get a great education, but, like, socially and just, like, understanding of the world, like, it was something that I very much needed. And so I really do feel like I got value out of it, even if I'm not getting a job directly from what I did in college. People shouldn't be punished for trying to better themselves, but a credit card debt can be cleared by going bankrupt. Yeah, that's true. And I mean, I'm sure, like, I am an example, I guess. Like, I've used credit cards sometimes to get by when I didn't have money. Like, when I didn't have a job and I needed a car repair or something. I've done that. And that is something that you can do with that. But, yeah, probably more often than not, credit card debt is probably for things that you don't need. And most of the time when you're racking up credit card debt, you're not trying to better yourself, which I see you're saying that people that are going to college are trying that, and that's true. I apologize if my comments are all scattered. My internet is so bad that I have to rewatch parts I missed, and sometimes my comments just get straight up erased. Okay. Spectrum is crappy, and I swear, sadly, I cannot do anything. And then a message to Christian saying the bad thing about it, that is, everyone gets a good degree, the market becomes saturated. So yeah, that's true. That's true too. Jennifer says, how do you feel about putting yourself and your financial situation on the internet, knowing your family, friends, employers, etc. can find your videos? So this is like actually a really interesting thing, because until you do it, you don't really think about it. So let me just say this. When I started making videos on YouTube, I didn't intend to start a channel. If you think back about like my first video that I put up that like went, basically viral for somebody that had 0 subscribers, was my ancestry DNA test and the results of that. So some people could consider that private. I didn't really. But I was so excited that I wanted to record my reaction. And for me, YouTube was almost just like a cloud storage thing. Like, I knew people could see it, but I didn't care if people saw it. So I made the video, and so as not to take up space in my phone, I just uploaded it to YouTube. And then when I did that, YouTube's like, hey, you created a channel. Do you want to monetize this? And I'm like, sure, okay. And didn't even understand how it worked. And, that video got like 50,000 views because it was one of the early videos of somebody having test results from Ancestry. So that made me start thinking, oh, well, maybe I could do this. And down the road, another year or so, I made that video about my student loan debt story, because I had been watching documentaries about student loan debt, and I was in that job where I was working 70 hours a week, getting all that overtime to make those extra payments. And I was just very like student loan and like debt minded at that time. But to more directly answer your question, like when I made that video about my student loan debt and putting my finances out there, I didn't think anything about it. To me, I'm a very open person. And I mean, obviously my most watched video on my channel is of me telling people that my parents are cousins, like West Virginia. But that's, that's something that the best way I can describe it is with something like that, or with finances. I can throw that out there to the general public and it doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter if somebody, let's see, okay, how do I say this? If a complete stranger knows all these private details about me, it's totally fine. But the closer the person is to me, the less I would want them to know. So I never told any of my friends I had a YouTube channel. I never told my family. My mom knows about it now, thinks it's the most ridiculous thing ever, is always discouraging me, telling me it's never going to work. My girlfriend knows I have a channel, but she literally has never seen it. I just basically told her what it is. She thinks it's super cool. But she doesn't know the name of my channel. She's never seen any of the videos, because I told her basically I wanted to get it a lot more polished before she saw it. There's a lot of stuff that now that I'm full-time, I want to do, like getting channel art and working on my headshot and branding and stuff like that. And I just wanted to look better before she sees it. So I guess for me, there's just this weird thing of like, I can put very personal details out there to complete strangers. And I guess just putting it out on the internet, I would never imagine that anybody I would actually know in real life would see it. But you're asking about like my family, friends, and employers can find your videos. My friends, they're not going to care. Honestly, most of them know about it already. My friends act like they could not care less about my channel. I think it's because it's personal finance. I think that they just think it's like the most boring topic in the world, and they just don't care. So I don't have to worry about that. Um, Family, my mom, I got on her laptop to try to fix it. She like secretly watched a couple of my videos. So she acts like she can't use her computer, but she does sneak on there and like watch my stuff sometimes. Um, I mean, I know how she feels about the YouTube channel. She is completely against it. Um, and then employers. And that's the thing. Like, I mean, we're in a changing society, right? I don't know. Did you guys hear about the guy that got fired from Sherwin-Williams about a month ago over his TikTok? Like, he created an entire TikTok like channel. I don't know what they're called there. About him mixing different paint colors, and he had like millions of subscribers, and he got fired by Sherwin-Williams. And I mean, that company took some really heavy criticism for. Okay, back again. Hopefully, it stays this time. But my point about the Sherwin-Williams TikTok guy is that we're in this changing time where like half of employers are very traditional and are like, if you have any presence on social media, we are not okay with that, and it makes us look bad, whether or not it actually does make them look bad. The other side is very supportive of creative ways. Um, okay. Sorry, I keep getting the comments coming in, but the screen goes black. So Jennifer, trying to answer your question, um, if you don't want to support monthly, the second link in the description of this video is a PayPal link, and you can donate there. The only stipulation would be anything that's donated through the PayPal link, I do put directly toward debt unless you put a note on it saying otherwise. Um, but that way you can just do a one-time thing. Um, Now, what I was saying about the Sherwin-Williams guy in TikTok, basically, it's up to the employer and how they see the situation. Uh, Thankfully, my last few employers have been companies that are somewhat woke, and maybe they don't see the value in what an online presence can give, but they don't see it as something negative either. Like when I worked at Candid, we had somebody that was a rapper, we had somebody who was a model, we had a famous, like a former famous Vine star that worked there, and then they knew I had a YouTube channel, and that was all totally fine. They even supported it. But then, my last job, the one I technically still work at, but I'm not getting hours, they just didn't care. They were very professional, like government agency, and they just didn't care. Um, so I think that there is a changing thought process about that, but I agree with you. Think you still need to approach employers um, cautiously about your social media. And I think that you need to just think that they're probably going to judge you poorly for it, because that's just unfortunately the way it's traditionally been. And you can't know until you get to know the employer and the company how their feelings are about that. The good thing is, though, hopefully, considering if I can continue after a few months from now doing this full time. Oh wow, hey Jennifer, that is awesome. SEK 50. I'm guessing that's Swedish kroner. I think that's what it's called. I have no idea what that is in American, but thank you. Um, yeah, like there is a way to. Oh yeah, I completely forgot to even mention super chats. Yeah, guys, I always forget super chats, but super chat If you press the little $ right below the comment box, you can do that. I think you can do as little as $1, and up to $500, I think. Yeah, yeah. So, Jennifer, yes, you did. Thank you. Thank you for donating that. Okay, it looks like it's $6.04. It looks like it did it automatically, the conversion. So, yeah, 50, I guess, kroners would be about $6.04 American. So thank you. And I always forget to tell you guys you can do super chat, but that is always very much appreciated. But yeah, that's the way employers look at it, and I think it is changing a little bit. But thankfully, I haven't had to experience much adversity from that, and now, looking forward, hopefully, I'm just going to be self-employed. Uh, it's not that I put anything bad out here on the internet anyway. I mean, I'm literally just talking about budgeting and finance. Like, it's not going to offend anyone. So I think that I'm fairly safe as long as the employer is like reasonably minded about it. Um, Christian says college isn't for everyone. People look down on trade schools, but you can make a good living without school costing a lot. Yeah, I totally agree with you on the trade school thing. Um, I wish that that is an option that somebody had even told me about. I'm 35. I graduated high school in 2003, and back at that time, you did not have an option. You went to college. It was forced by the schools, the counselors, the parents. You weren't allowed to look at other options. And, it's only in my 30s that I'm realizing that trade schools exist, or that you can get a scholarship from like a labor union to be an apprentice, things like that. Um, I can't think in my mind of a trade that I would be interested in, but maybe if I'd had the opportunity to sit and think about it as much as I did what I was going to major in college, maybe I would have figured something like that out. And I agree with you. A lot of the people that are very financially secure are people who went that route and never went to college, never had to pay that money, and never had to accumulate that debt. I don't think it's the only option to do that way, um, but it definitely is a route to success. And the thing is, I agree with you in the traditional sort of way of thinking about it, that college isn't for everyone. And I think that that is a mistake that our teachers and counselors and parents, they push that on everyone, like regardless of you or your desires. I think that that's true. What I will say is that college was very valuable to me as a learning experience. There we go. Okay, back. Um, but I will say that also with college, for some people, and this was really before we started thinking of it in terms of the way we do now, where you go to college to get training to get a job. College was purely academic, somewhat social. It was about the connections you made, but it was almost like a finishing school. And even though that's not why I went there to have that experience, that is actually the experience I ended up having. And college was very beneficial for me for that. So, beyond it being just a place to go to learn how to have a job in a certain industry, I do still see value in college in other aspects of it. And can yeah, I wouldn't discourage somebody from going to college if they had the means. They or their parents had the means, and were doing it just for the valuable experience. I think that's okay too. Even if they wanted to major in something ridiculous that they would never get a job in. Um, Even real estate, people rent out places in cheap places and price gouge just because they can. Yeah, that's why I left Columbus. The rent is absolutely ridiculous, and Columbus is supposedly a very affordable city, but very affordable um, compared to everywhere else that is also very overpriced. Uh, Even the very affordable rent in Columbus is, compared to the wages you can earn in Columbus, it's way too high. It's way too much of a percentage of your income. Um, let's see. The whole system is screwed up, and these are not people who have degrees. They are dropouts who want to make money fast without knowing. Yeah. Wait. Who want to make money fast without knowing the repercussions of ruining the financial ecosystem around them. Yeah, and I definitely, you're picking up on something that I've noticed here. I I don't think that it's not that they don't know the repercussions of ruining the financial ecosystem. I think they just don't care. I think it's a selfish thing. I think it's, I want to make money, so I'm going to charge this amount for rent. And it doesn't matter that that amount of rent um, is like too much a proportion of the income that can be earned in that area, if that makes sense. But I see what you're saying, where you say that people that are dropouts do that, like own real estate and have apartments and stuff. I definitely see that because, um, let's see, 7 years ago, back when I lived in this city before, um, there is a guy who's a huge businessman in this area. And that's essentially what he did. This guy can barely read and write, but he owns hundreds of apartments. And, you know, that's what he does. Like, he's got this street smart and this business smart, right? Not book smart. But I have noticed that there are many, many, many people who are just basically filthy rich, who are dumb, just dumb. And but they can manage a business, and it's just them being out on their own and being able to uh, well, obviously you got to have the assets, and they probably got it passed down to them from their family. They probably didn't build it on their own, but you know, you are able to create a career like that, even if you don't go to college. And I will say that really many of the most successful people in that scrappy type of business are people that I've seen that did not go to college or even high school. I don't know if you guys know this, but like we have a West Virginia has a very low educational attainment rate. We actually have a really high high school graduation rate. It might actually be the highest in the country, but our college rate is one of the lowest in the country. Um, so it's something that I've definitely noticed, is that the people who are the most successful and most similar to the type of job with investments that I want to have someday are people who never went the route I did. I went the traditional route, found out it was bullshit, and then I'm going the route of, you know, being the scrappy entrepreneur. Um, let's see. Dave Ramsey says it is the way because supposedly millions have made into success. Although we need evidence, how is he going to show millions who reach success? I don't really know the answer to that. I'm sure he has testimonials. I'm sure there's a lot of people he has helped. But, well, millions, maybe he's counting that from like he sold millions of books. Maybe he's counting each book sale as a success without verifying it. I don't know. Um, I need. Oh no, you don't have to shut up. You can. That's the whole point. We're just hanging out here, and we're just going to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. So you can make as many comments as you want. Oh wow! Hey, thank you for the super chat. Let me, Jennifer, let me just because you did give a super chat here, let me skip down and answer your comment here first. You said you were not loud and obnoxious. Nice speaking voice. Interesting topics. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. 11 p.m. here. Okay. So thank you again. Didn't realize what time it was there. US. Thank you about the speaking voice. I do. I used to be a music major, and I can sing. So it's sort of just using. You sort of temper your voice in a way that maybe is not your everyday speaking voice, but like I've thought about getting into voice acting and things like that too. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you. Christmas was kind of crazy for me here. It went by really fast. I'm looking forward to the new year. And thank you about not being loud and obnoxious. I know that's like an American thing. I'm not typical American, I think. And last question, goals for 2021. So I have some goals for 2021, and I always do a financial goal video in the beginning of the year, and I do a 6-month check-in, and I do it end of the year. So I won't go over the financial goals, but I'll tell you what my other goals are, because I don't think those are going to make it into the video. Essentially, I have got myself back down here to West Virginia. I've got myself into a pretty frugal situation, and I will soon start reaping the rewards of that. I have a lot of stuff here that I need to sort through, sell some of it, throw some of it away, really just declutter and organize and get my life in order that way. I want to do the same thing with my phone and my computer, the digital clutter. I want to get rid of that. I'm working with my mom, and this I won't complete in a year, but at least I want to make a lot of progress to it. I'm working on cleaning out her storage unit and doing the same thing with all of that. I'm working on the same thing with my personal storage unit and doing all of that, with the goal of eventually moving those two together so that there's, another $65 per month payment that I'm not paying every month. I do it, a lot of it depends on the virus and what is actually possible. But right now, I just sort of have everything pulled really close to me. There's not much to do here in West Virginia, so I'm just going to work on YouTube, and then on my weekends off, or in the evenings, I'm just going to work on getting my life sorted out. And I know that's not exciting, but it's a lot to do. I have so much stuff. I'm never going to be a minimalist, but I want to be much closer to that. If for no other reason, because I don't ever want to have to move this stuff ever again. I just have way too much stuff. And I would definitely just like to basically get my life in order. I feel like that would help my anxiety so much. So, yeah, that's, I guess, the answer to that. Don't know if you're still here, Jennifer, but good night, and thank you for the super chats. Jumping back up here to the other comments. What are the worst, best, and funniest things that have happened to you in the last few months? I expect 3 stories. Wow. Okay, I'll have to make these short. The worst. Wow, there's been a lot of bad things that happened, so I'm not sure about that. I'll try to make this short. I basically got screwed out of somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000 in a bonus that I was supposed to receive from my apartment complex. Now I'm fighting it. Don't think I'm just like letting that happen. I have to go get a consultation with a lawyer. And it's a very long story, but yeah, essentially, because they were forcing us out to renovate, they were supposed to give us a bonus to put down a down payment on a house, which for me would have been a down payment on my first rental property to bring in passive income. But they essentially lied to me about a bunch of stuff, didn't give me some info that I was supposed to get. And guys, this is ongoing, but I will make a whole video about like why I moved out of that apartment, including all of this. And so I essentially got screwed out of a lot of money. Potentially might get it back, but I have to fight for it now, so it may not happen. So that's the worst thing. The best thing is that, you know, my girlfriend and I have been on the rocks for a while. I think we had another one of our big misunderstandings, and we are sort of back. We're not, well, I don't know if we're technically back together, but she wants to start dating again. So, you know, that'll start happening soon. We haven't actually met up yet, but you know, we're talking again. So I'd definitely say that's the best thing. Second best thing would just be having got all my stuff out of Columbus and got it like in one place where I can feel like I got my life together and start sorting through the stuff. That feels like that's gonna mean a lot to me once that's done. And the funniest thing, probably the funniest thing is my landlord. There is weird stuff that happens in this building. But no, he's just really funny because of the way he words stuff. Like when I was signing the lease, he's like, okay, now this isn't in the lease, but I just want to make sure, like, you don't have any prejudices against communities, do you? I'm like, I don't think so. And he's like, okay. And he like lists all these communities. He's like the law enforcement community, like all of these things. And he's like the Caucasian community. And I'm like, what? And then, so like, no, I'm like, no, that's fine. I don't care. And then he's like, oh yeah, by the way, like, you just got to be okay with whatever those people decide to wear too. And I'm just thinking, what on earth are you talking about? Like, it was just a very weird experience. I don't know. And We Who Are About to Die, you asked, how much did you get paid for 50,000 views? Or, yeah, well, I think you put $50,000 views, but 50,000 views. So let me see if I can find, because I know you're referring to the video about my DNA. So let me switch something here. I'll see if I can find you an actual amount on that. By the way, I am going to be making a video within the next couple of months. My channel is over 500,000 views, so like 500,000 views now. And with that being the case, I'm going to be able to make a video basically saying like how much YouTube paid me for 500,000 views, where I'll go pretty in depth about the money that I made from it, but just haven't filmed that yet. Now, going into, I think I was talking about my DNA results, right? I think that's what we were talking about. So I'm going to that video right now. I've got the computer sitting behind me here. And I'm going to get you an actual dollar amount to answer your question on how much I made for that. So DNA. So my main video about DNA, not the one that has the most views, that's the one about how my parents are cousins, but the one that is just like my DNA results. Let me see here. So it only has, this is going to be hard to answer because on this channel, this video only has, oh, that can't be right. Well, no, I guess it is. Okay, so this one only has 4.4 thousand views on this channel, and it made $39.98. But this video actually came from my old channel. I had a channel before this one, pre-2014, that I had to shut down, and I started this channel. So I just switched the video over here, and it didn't like go viral on this channel. But just to give you an idea, like a better idea of what you were probably expecting, because I don't have analytics or income data from that other channel. If we're talking about DNA, the one on this channel that has the most views is the one about my parents being cousins. So with that, oh, okay, well this is a good example because this one has 50,000, or 50,100 views. Um, and I have made... Okay, so right now, currently, this video has 50,110 views, so almost exactly what you asked. Um, and the estimated revenue is $229.86 for that one video. And that's been up now for just over 5 years. So, I mean, you think that's not a lot, but when you think about at the time, the Ancestry DNA test was $99. You know, I've more than double made back the money that I spent on the test. And let me just get myself situated here, get back into, because I actually watched the stream on the computer behind me so that I can follow your comments, because they don't pop up very well on the phone. The comment will just pop up and then go away in like a second, so I have to actually go back and look. So let me just get back here. Here we go. Okay, cool. So once the comments come back up, I will go ahead and respond to the rest of those. Okay, and then Jennifer asked, is there a way to donate to you sporadically, which she did. Thank you again for that. Do you know if he branded Sherman in his TikTok? Maybe they would not have fired him, but you never know. I actually don't know, because I don't use TikTok. I have it, but I like don't even have an account. You can have it and just like go on and watch videos. But I do it very rarely, even for that. Because he went to Ohio University, which is the first college I went to, and then I transferred to Marietta, I saw some stuff from the college about it. They were very proud of him. And somebody that I know is the regional manager for Sherwin-Williams. So she was kind of like, I think she might have been the baddie in that situation. I'm not sure what really happened, but I don't know if he ever said specifically what paint store he worked for. But I do know that another paint company hired him because they saw the value in what he was doing. And Jennifer said, did I donate? Like $5, I think. And yes, she did. That was $6.04 after being, translated into US. Colors of Avon. Hey, so don't know if you're still around. I'm a little behind in responding to these comments. But you said, do you want to do YouTube or do you want a full-time job? I want to do YouTube. I really do. I think that this is the path forward, and I think it's kind of the light at the end of the tunnel. I've given employers 10 years, and 10 before that too, but 10 years after college, mostly, that I've really tried to work within the system and just get the corporate job and work my way up the corporate ladder. And it's about damn near impossible to get a job in the first place, and when you do, it's not a very good one. And then I keep finding places that I actually like, and I stay there for a long time, but then I just end up getting laid off. And I'm really just tired of that. I don't want somebody else to be in charge of my future. And if you guys hear anything, my neighbors are walking around. But yeah, like, I do lament a little bit that I couldn't just be that person that just like went and got a normal job and worked my way up the corporate ladder and was successful and stuff. I wish that was the case, and I think that I'll always like wish that I had that in some way, but overall I know I'll be much better off just working for myself. JR, I definitely would have went to trade school first, and then if I wanted to go to college. Oh yeah, you could do that too. You can even go to community college and make a good living. For example, surgical technologists make a good amount of money, and they just go to a one-year program depending on the school. That's true. I also know there is a physical therapist assistant And at least in Ohio, I think maybe it just changed this year, but at least in Ohio previously, you literally only had to go for 2 years at a community college. I think they did change it to being a 4-year program, but you would be able to make about $40,000. Depending on where you are, that could be a lot or it could be nothing. But if you were to live, here in West Virginia, that would, I mean, you'd be balling at 40,000. Let's see what he said here. We're about to die says $6.05. Some people do not have that option because our parents think it is low end. Oh, I think you're talking about either community college, maybe. I was the opposite way. My parents forced me to go to community college, even though I got into a good school. Universities and degrees are seen as high class, yeah. Trades are also seen as unnecessary wear and tear and very high risk. And that is a good point, yeah. I mean, when people are expounding the benefits of the trades, they don't factor that in, yeah. They are dangerous. You're getting paid more because you are putting yourself in danger. Especially like something with like HVAC or something like that. And yeah, it does take a toll on your body. The apartment rent of today would be around like $770 for the wage, $725 an hour. So, I mean, okay, the apartment rent of today would be like $770 for the wage, $725 an hour. But if you think about that, like, that means you're going to be making what, like $280 a week? Like almost your entire income, especially after taxes, is going to be to pay for your rent. I don't know, asked, have you considered day trading? Truthfully, no, I haven't. Haven't looked into it. Although I do have 40 hours a week blocked out to just work on my business. Now, a lot of that is YouTube, but there are some other smaller aspects to it. So if that was something that I started, maybe. I just don't know that I know that much about investing that I would be able to do that and make money rather than lose it. Would you sell one of your kidneys for $500,000? No. I am really blessed to have an amazing immune system, and I'm afraid anything I change about my body, even like giving plasma or something, would mess that up somehow. Day trading is not bad, but taxes through the wazoo. Yeah, what is that capital gains tax that you have to, and then there's like some weird way you can like get out of that. Yeah. I made $10 million with day trading call options. Yeah, I mean, like call options are good. I haven't gotten onto that myself, but I know that Robinhood, and if anybody wants to join Robinhood and hasn't, or Webull for that matter, and get some free stock, you just have to deposit $100. Let me know in the comments. I'll send you a link to do that. You get free stock and I get free stock, so it helps me out too. I think the free stock can be anywhere between $8 and like $1,400, so it's free money. But yeah, you made $10 million with day trading call options. I mean, there are certain situations where I might be interested in call options, but that's something that's like really down the road for me. Probably when I have a lot more money to put toward it too. Because if it's for like 1 or 2 shares of stock, it's not going to make that much a difference. And you're a high school dropout and can't read good. Yeah, I mean, that's totally fine. And you're successful and you're a millionaire. I don't judge people by that at all. Because like, I understand that that's a lot more to do with like life situation than it is for like what it says about you as a person. And look, I mean, you showed like, also, I mean, another example is like, think of the person that founded Dollar General stores, they can't read at all. So that's why their entire charity is like teaching people how to read, because the person that founded Dollar General did it all without being able to read. So yeah, I mean, you're fine. And I think you're an example of, even if you don't have a college education, like, you're perfectly capable of doing anything you set your mind to. All right, guys. Well, it looks like there's only 14 left on here. If you guys do have any additional questions, go ahead and put them. All right, guys. There we go. Reconnected again. So, but yeah, just any other questions you have, feel free to drop them. I do want to just give you guys a short update for those of you who are still around here. I want to let you know I have only had 2 or maybe 3 days as working on YouTube full time. And like I said, some of the stuff I'm doing you don't see because it's on the back end. It's getting some financials ready for the channel and making an Eisenhower matrix of what I need to accomplish first. But I did film a video about why I left the job that I had in February for a temporary job during the pandemic, and that is almost completely edited. In fact, it is completely edited. I just need to export the video, upload it, do the metadata and all that stuff. That will be Wednesday. That should get done, which means that maybe Wednesday or Thursday that'll be uploaded. So I will have at least one more video for you this month. And then basically at the end of this month, I have to do the regular December budget review and the January budget with me. I have to do a year-end review of just whatever happened in my life, and then a year-end review of my finances, and then a financial goals review video. So January is going to be popping because those are all going to be filmed at the end of December, going up in the beginning of January. And on top of that, somebody asked in the last live stream for an empty apartment tour, and I did take, it's not a very good video, but I'll put it up for you guys to see. I did like a vlog style, like MTV Cribs style video of my empty apartment in Columbus, just so you guys can see where I've lived for like the last 5 years, and where the channel really grew, and like where the original filming studio was and all of that stuff. So look forward to that. Most likely though, that's going to be going up sometime in January as well. And then I will be spending a lot of time more like responding to comments and doing some coaching and things like that too. Always feel free to either put it in the comments or reach out to me by my email address if you guys do want to do the financial coaching. Again, Patreon, as little as $1 a month, up to $50 if you want free coaching. And anything over $10 a month is going to get you access to a live stream like this, but it's going to be just for patrons. And anyway, guys, I don't see any more comments coming in. This live stream did go longer than usual, but that's totally fine. Looks like you guys just had a lot of questions, and that's awesome. So if there are no further questions, I hope you guys have a good new year. Rosie says, nice to see you again, Mark. Good luck in all you do. Thank you, Rosie. Yeah, hopefully I'll see you around the channel. We'll do live stream like this at the end every month, so just always feel free to join. And basically, guys, yeah, that's it. I'm going to be super busy making videos and editing things for the beginning of January, but I do promise you by the end of the month I will have that one other video up for you guys, at least explaining why I left that job this summer. And that is one of those longer story time videos. It's like 40 minutes long. So I know some of you like those, some of you don't. Hopefully, for those of you that like them, I haven't made one in a while, so hopefully that'll satiate you. But anyway, guys, I don't see any more comments, so I am going to hop off here. It's been about 2 hours now. So here probably about the end of the day. this video will be up in case you missed any of it, and you can go back and watch that. So anyway, guys, yeah, Happy New Year, and just look forward to 2021. Hopefully it's better than 2020, and it definitely will be for this channel. So just look out for a lot more content coming your way.